Welcome back to Magic Muggle, a Harry Potter Aftershow. This is your host, Eric Sequeira, aka Mr. Honest, and today we're diving into chapters 9 through 11 of the Chamber of Secrets, the Writing on the Wall, the Rogue Bludger, and the Dueling Club. This is the turning point of the book. Hogwarts stops being just mysterious and quirky, and it becomes actually pretty dangerous, divided, and frightening. Petrifications are stacking up, rumors are spreading like fire, and Harry himself, he's standing in the middle of all of it, framed in the worst way. Each of these chapters ends with another body. By the time we finish today, if I were at Hogwarts as a student, seeing all this from a third point of view, I'd be convinced Harry was guilty. That's the brilliance of Rowling here. She forces us to feel that suspicion right alongside him, really gets you inside of his head. So let's get into these three chapters, starting with chapter 9, The Writing on the Wall, where we left off. We start with the words smeared in red paint across the corridor. The Chamber of Secrets has been opened. Enemies of the air, beware. And there on the ground, stiff as a board, Mrs. Norris. Argus Filch arrives and absolutely loses it. He's not just angry, he's broken. Mrs. Norris is everything to him, his pride, his companion, and the one creature who makes him most likely feel powerful in a school where he has no powers. To Filch, Harry standing there looks like cruel triumph. The teachers sweep in. Dumbledore, McGonagall, Snape, and of course Lockhart. Dumbledore kneels calm, examining Mrs. Norris's grave with care. The composure of Dumbledore is like the energy we all need when something terrifying or awful happens. The wise observer Dumbledore, keeping it together and not losing any, bit of his confidence. Of course, this is, you could just say it's just a cat, but it's also a petrified cat, which is just scary to see and something you don't see often, even in the wizarding world. Snape seizes the moment and presses suspicion onto Harry immediately. McGonagall keeps order, concerned but fair. And Lockhart, he just can't resist bragging. We get a lot of that in these three chapters, offering nonsense about petrification techniques he's seen firsthand. Lockhart's office is closer, so they go to it, and Dumbledore confirms Mrs. Norris isn't dead, just petrified. A glimmer of hope, yes. But the horror is real, and this isn't an accident. The next day, the story spreads. Whispers ripple across the castle. Harry, Ron, and Hermione go to the history of magic, and for once, the droning, boring voice of Professor Binns matters. He's a ghost teacher, and I like the detail that he was waking up to teach one day and just got up out of his chair as a ghost and just kept going. Like he died and just kept going as a ghost. I thought that was a fun little detail. Reluctantly, after prodding, he tells the full legend of the Chamber of Secrets. Hermione is actually pretty big on getting this information from him. She even knows books, the history of Hogwarts or something like that she can't find because everyone is looking for the Chamber of Secrets section to understand and what it is and, the mythos. So here's how it kind of goes. Salazar Slytherin falling out with the other founders, Hufflepuff, Gryffindor, and Ravenclaw. So this is the ancient origin of the chamber. His secret chamber hidden somewhere in this castle, Salazar Slytherin. And there's a monster inside waiting for his true heir to return and purge the school of Muggleborns. Bin scoffs and insists it's a myth. But the words have weight and give us some of the information we long for. As readers, and possibly fans, depending on where you are, if you're just reading through and listening along, we kind of see that this is where the legend of the Chamber of Secrets stops being a rumor and becomes the spine of the story. Despite Professor Binns' complete denial that it's real, just a made-up myth, there's people searching the castle for this secret chamber. No one's ever been able to find it. He highly doubts it's real. But after class, it's Hermione who takes charge. Her idea is to brew the Polyjuice potion, a disguise potion that lets them be other people. You transform into another person, you get a piece of the DNA, all these intricate parts for the potion. And yeah, you get to change into someone for a little bit. So they want to disguise themselves as Slytherins and dig for the truth inside by talking to Draco Malfoy. Dangerous? Yes. Classic Hermione? Absolutely. I love that their first guess is Draco Malfoy because he's been using the Mudbloods. But I also remember, Draco's just a great antagonist in that, like, he sets himself up to look like this is happening because of him, and it very well could be at this point of the book. Their suspicions are not founded without weight. They are totally valid to wonder if Draco Malfoy or his father have anything to do with this. So the chamber is no longer bedtime gossip. The trio has a plan, suspicion is alive in the air, and action is on the horizon. Moving to Chapter 10, The Rogue Bludger. Quidditch Day, Gryffindor versus Slytherin. Tension is high. Malfoy, smug with his Nimbus 2001, but from the first whistle, something is wrong. One bludger goes rogue, hence the title. It's not random and it's not wild. It is locked onto Harry, and it is very clear that this thing is hexed. I don't know how the other teachers didn't see it. There's a lot to see in a Quidditch game, many things happening at once. The other team was busy scoring like 60 points. So, points do rack up pretty fast. Back to the Quidditch theory, you get 100-something points from catching the snitch. But if the other team has more points than what the snitch and your current score is, you can accidentally screw your team over by catching the snitch as a seeker before you've caught up in points enough to win the game. So, like, there was this discrepancy in my mind about this game making no sense. But if you put the pieces together, that's exactly how this works. The points run high, the games run long. The snitch might be even harder to catch in bigger stadiums in the professional Quidditch World Cup type setting we're going to see in book 4. So the description is very cinematic. Harry dives, swerves, and even rides his broom like a frickin' surfboard, which I just love, trying to dodge these attacks from the bludger. The crowd gasp and players panic. It's relentless. They get one timeout, and for some reason, I guess the bludger is okay with the timeout and stops too. I don't know. It's hex, but it is also insanely dangerous and could even possibly kill Harry. The magic is always in place, and I feel like most times something bad happens to Harry, especially in a big crowd. He is able to get help from teachers or professors. I mean, let's foreshadow book 4, the end of book 4, maybe not so much. I'm excited to read that. I'm just loving the journey of reading Harry Potter. This is so much fun. We're getting into the thick of it, This is where it gets pretty serious, even more serious than the first book ever was. They didn't know it was down at the bottom of the secret cupboard that the dogs were hiding in the first one. It's not a cupboard. It's like a whole different chamber of secrets in a way, except the teachers know about it and they have all their guards up. So this is bigger than that because this is real prevalent danger. Not that Voldemort being with Professor Quirrell wasn't. However, this is just more sinister, you could tell, more evil, and it's just a bit of a bigger deal. Finally, the bludger smashes into Harry, shattering his arm. Yet Harry, stubborn to the bone, refuses to give up. Harry Potter classic. He doesn't give up. He tries his best, and he catches the snitch, pain soaring through him, and somehow, impossibly, yes, he just catches it. If he went much longer, he probably wouldn't have been able to even hold up. The victory lasts seconds, and Lockhart rushes to heal Harry. Instead of doing that, he removes all the bones in his arm. A very grotesque moment. Harry's limb is left rubbery, boneless, similar to a deflated balloon or a stick of jelly or whatever gross description you could think of. I was going to say email me, magicmugglepod@gmail.com. What do you think of Harry's rubbery arm? Did Lockhart help by relieving the pain? Yes. Will Harry have to go to the hospital wing to use this thing called Skelegro, which is apparently very painful, and the Madame Pomfrey, the nurse, admits to Harry, you're going to have a very tough night here. All the Quidditch team comes to Harry and tries to celebrate with him, but she kicks them all out. I like the little details in this book. Something about even the dangerous parts make Hogwarts feel just such a homely place. Anytime they say pumpkin juice, it just reminds me, this is probably a nice little cozy little drink they have all the time this time of year. Or, I just like the little details that kind of fill in the world as we're watching the story unfold before our eyes. And then in the middle of the night appears Dobby. Yes, the Dobby. He is back, and he's not bringing the best news to Harry. Tearful, desperate, and guilt-ridden, Dobby confesses he was the one who bewitched the Bludger. He also reveals that he was the person and or elf to seal platform 9 3/4. This was all on Dobby. Every problem so far, the big problem Harry is having, it has to do with Dobby, but he has good reason, at least on his end, just to keep Harry safe from the chamber. And his revelation, the chamber has opened before. He knows it. There's just a lot of irony at play here with Dobby and his intention for good, the bold, brave steps he takes to skip out of his master's eyesight in the blindness of the night, and he gets to go actually help Harry and try just to keep Harry safe. It's so pure, but his methods always almost nearly kill Harry or get him in the worst trouble. He's a tragic protector. And I want to see more Dobby in the upcoming books. I know we see him a few times across the series, but as we go, I'm interested in how much we'll see him compared to the movies, which we see him in only 2 movies. I think seeing him between them a little bit more, just seeing him across a few of the books, then at the end, it would give his story a lot more power and a lot more see-through. As Harry is trying to just get all the information on the Dobby and also convince him not to put his life in danger anymore, as he's about to, we hear footsteps approaching, and Dobby just disappears in an instant. He has some pretty quick magic moving abilities, which I think all the characters kind of get a hold of at one point. The doors open. Dumbledore and McGonagall enter, carrying a rigid figure. It's Colin Creevey, the kid who keeps wanting to take pictures of Harry, and Harry is as nice as possible to Colin every time he's taking pictures, but at this point in Harry's life, he is kind of annoyed at Colin because the last time he was taking pictures was when his arm was broken, and he just had to shoo Colin away. It's not like he didn't care about Colin at all. It's just Colin, innocent kid, trying to take pictures of every moment. I was that kid in high school at a speech tournament one year. I was just taking pictures of the whole team because I wanted us all to remember that time. Petrified, eyes wide, and he's frozen in terror. Not the Colin we know. He's petrified, man. He's petrified, just like the cat, Mrs. Filch. And this is more terrifying because this is the first human that is found. Sorry, I say first, but yes, we're about to find even another person that gets petrified, all within these 3 chapters. His camera melted. Film burned away as if the magic itself erased the evidence. Dumbledore's quiet words, "There's been another attack." So, at the end of chapter 10, we're feeling the danger escalating from a cat to the child. It's a big difference when students start actually getting in harm's way, and it does not look good for Hogwarts. The more this happens, the more danger the school has of probably most likely shutting down. The chamber isn't just open, it's hunting. Moving to chapter 11, the Dueling Club. Hogwarts reels with fear. And to calm the panic and boost his image, Lockhart launches the Dueling Club. He frames it as a chance to teach defense, but it's his ego in action, like always. What do you think of Gilderoy Lockhart? I'd like to know. magicmugglepod@gmail.com. If you don't know, I have another podcast called Marvel Maniac and MCU Aftershow. Go check it out on all platforms if you're into the MCU. However, let's get back to the Dueling Club. Lockhart's ego always at play, and personally, I think he's likable in a funny way, but when he gets more and more involved, he's just annoying in general. Even him doing all these magical feats and all this bragging he does about it, it's just very annoying, and you could kind of see through at his insecurities the way he is kind of overconfidently doing magic this whole book. And it is also a little bit suspicious. Like, why in the world would you remove a bone from Harry's arm? You have no idea what you're doing, do you, sir? His duel with Snape is completely humiliating as well. Lockhart versus Snape. Snape dismantles him instantly, throwing him from the, I'm going to say table, but they might have it set up a different way in the book. The movie does this part pretty well. And I'd say the movie does a great job of showing you what Parseltongue actually sounds like. Snape dismantles him instantly, proving who holds the real power in the room. Then Harry faces Draco Malfoy. Their duel spirals when Malfoy conjures a snake. The snake slithers toward Justin Finch Fletchley. We need to keep that name in mind. Harry does what feels natural, and he tells it to stop. Plain English. But he doesn't realize that to everyone else in the room, he is speaking Parseltongue, the language of Salazar Slytherin, pretty much. Not many people know it, and it's considered dark to know how to talk to snakes. The reaction is instant. Students recoil, whispers hiss, and even Hermione and Ron stare at him in shock. This is not a good look for Harry. Another thing kind of like throwing him under the bus here and writing him almost completely to be framed for all this horrible stuff happening. Parseltongue is the mark of Slytherin. So to Harry, he's just saved Justin because he didn't know he was speaking Parseltongue. To everyone else, he revealed himself as dangerous. I think, in my mind, to know another language or to just be speaking English and for everyone else to hear me in French, if I had control over that power, I think that would be very cool. However, how scary is it, living in the confusion in Harry's mind, that all he did was try to tell the snake with plain English to stop, and it listens? That is honestly like something I can't even imagine. It's actually disturbing if you really think about it, because it's something more magical taking over you that you don't even know is happening, and nobody speaks language that. I mean, I'm not bilingual, so I honestly don't know fully, but I would like to be. Maybe I should get one of those language learning apps as a sponsor for the show. Hey, we're here for it. Maybe I'll read Harry Potter in Spanish once we get through all the books. We'll do like a Spanish Harry Potter coverage. That's not very funny. We probably won't end up doing that. Harry is just very surprised overall about the Parseltongue. And this is the point where Harry starts to kind of get a pretty bad image in front of the rest of the students. Things are starting to be assumed of Harry. They think he's the heir of Slytherin and to the Chamber of Secrets. It's just not looking good for our guy here. Rumors immediately explode, and Harry overhears Ernie McMallion and the Hufflepuffs whispering. They are convinced Justin is next. Justin, the kid who Harry tried to save from the snake. But they think Harry's the heir, targeting Muggleborns. Harry even approaches them, trying to explain, but the suspicion is just too heavy. They're scared of him. And then fate twists a knife. Harry's leaving this interaction to go find Justin and explain to him that he was just trying to help him. But when he turns the corner, he finds Justin Finch Fletchley. That's a great name. And nearly headless Nick petrified. That's just gotta be like, honestly, like I said, the knife twisting in his back. He's being set up and framed, it feels like. Justin is stiff and lifeless. Nick, ghostly body, solidified, frozen in mid-float. They even have to get someone to hold fans up to him to move him into a place where he's not in the middle of the hallway looking petrified and terrifying. And just worst of all, just the worst thing in general is that Harry is standing over them when others arrive. The only thing that people see is Harry standing over this situation. And it's not the first time, it's every time He's around it. He's discovered by it, and it looks so damning. This is literally the moment where Harry is framed from any outsider's eyes, even mine. It's undeniable. Harry did this. Like, he needs some receipts. He needs some proof. Luckily, still, the teachers are looking out for Harry, like McGonagall, and they give him benefit of the doubt. Nothing was seen, only just what could be assumed. So McGonagall, she arrives, face grave, and she doesn't punish him, but she leads him to Dumbledore's office. I love the little name to get into Dumbledore's office at the statue, the password. It's Lemon Drop. It's very Dumbledore. I don't know why, but it just is. Maybe it's because I'm thinking of him eating the Bertie Bott's beans at the end of the first book. Harry's never been to Dumbledore's office, so it is pretty awesome in his mind, I think, to be going there. Hopefully, he doesn't know how Dumbledore's going to even react to this. So the chapter ends at the Griffin Knocker, the door to truth, waiting, suspicion pressing in behind. Yes, that is the end of chapter 11, and this cliffhanger is perfect. Harry, he's isolated and branded on the edge of answers. This 3-chapter run is one of the darkest stretches in the series so far. I really like how we divided up these chapters. I think that they definitely have full arcs in them, the last 2 at least. The legend becomes reality with Bin's reluctant lecture. So the story that Bin's, the ghost teacher of history of magic, he was right about all the things that he told about the Chamber of Secrets, even though he didn't believe them. Also, in the background of these 3 chapters, the trio takes control with Hermione's Polyjuice plan. And also, the danger escalates from Mrs. Norris to Colin Creevey to Justin and Nick, 4 petrified within 3 chapters. If you want to count the last chapter before we got here today, at the end of the chapter, they do discover the cat. So, but it's still every chapter. The framing for Harry Potter tightening is undeniable. Harry's every move looks damning, and especially after the Parseltongue and being right over at the scene of the crime again with nearly headless Nick and Justin. It's not looking good for Mr. Potter by any means. By the time we stand at Dumbledore's office door, the castle is ready to turn on him, and yet there's still a thread of hope in being called into the headmaster, not to punishment. Next time, we'll finally step inside. This has been Magic Muggle, a Harry Potter Aftershow. I love talking Harry Potter with you. I gotta say, I'm more into the story than I've ever been right now. I want to read through the end of the book, but I'm going to keep pacing it so we can break it down the way we've been breaking it down, moment by moment, piece by piece. Not too much in depth, but just the right amount, I'd like to think. I'd like to thank you especially for being here, and for the future you, for rating this show 5 stars or thumbs up, or wherever you're listening. Give it a positive review, and I will read it on the show. I would love to get this awesome series noticed, because we're having a great time and we still have a lot to go through. So rate the show, and that would be amazing. Also share with anyone you think would like to listen, and listen to Marvel Maniac and MCU After Show if you don't. That is my 2-time a week Marvel After Show, and we go into the multiverse, even to the X-Men movies, Fantastic Four. Anything that could be considered multiverse in the MCU is fair game. Don't have a Patreon set up for this series yet. However, we do have a tip jar in the comments. It's never expected, yet always appreciated. I am looking forward to next week as things get scarier and more reveals soon to come. We are in for a treat for the end of this book, and we are way further than halfway done with it. So a lot is to come. From what I remember, there's a lot left, and it's very meaty and very fun. Thank you again. Your presence is greatly appreciated. And until next time, wands down, hearts full.